guys, it's me, Shaw360, and this is a review for episodes 5 and 6 for Uncontrollably Fun for the Drama Club. Now, 5 and 6 weren't as action-packed necessarily as 3 and 4. Like, there were a couple of really big moments in 5 and 6, but not as many subsequent hits as there were in 3 and 4. But there was a lot of character development here, a lot of kind of character motivation stuff, a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff gets revealed in this episode, and I like that. So, yeah, these two episodes worked well for me. I'm still very interested in the show, even though I am thinking of also watching W because I've heard really awesome things about it as well. So tell me if you guys think I should go ahead and watch that and maybe do videos on that as well. I mean, I'm not committing to anything, but if there's enough of you saying that you want to go to W, then I'll definitely check it out and maybe do something along those lines. So, at the beginning of the episode, we're left at the interview between Jun Young and Noel for the beginning of this documentary. He's like, hey, will you go out with me? And she's like, sure, why not? You know, I'll tell all my friends I'm dating a superstar. Now, she says it sarcastically, but apparently the production team thinks that she's hitting on him, so they fire her. She's at the restaurant, putting her head in her plate of water, as she's wont to do. I don't know if this is because she's attempting to drown herself, like not really doing it. I don't know. Somebody who's familiar with Korean culture, please fill me in on what this whole thing is about. But she's at the restaurant that she normally goes to when she's down. Ji-tae shows up. She calls him Mr. all the time, so that's what I'm going to call him whenever Susie or Noel is around. So Noel sees Ji-tae, Mr., and she's like, hey, you know, my life has turned to shit. I know the only thing that would make it better is if you and I go together, because then at least I'd have, you know, a boyfriend, whatever. And he just is stone-faced. He doesn't say anything to her. Like, not yes or no or laugh. He just sits there and starts drinking. And Noelle, I keep wanting to call her Susie. Noelle's kind of like, okay, you know, the least you could do is, like, legit blow me off. But for you to just, like, stand there stone-faced, like, the fuck. So she leaves and leaves her phone behind because she's drunk. He picks up her phone, and Jun Young is calling because he's been called by the production team and told that they fired her. And, of course, you know, he's only doing the show because of her. So he's like, you know, fuck all that noise. You're going to hire her back. So he calls her to let her know that, you know, he's going to get her hired back. And Ji-tae answers the phone, and he kind of like bossing up on Jun Young, like, hey, you know, she doesn't need you. Stay away from her, whatever. You know, I'm the one answering her phone. I'm the one who matters in her life. Susie comes back, Noel comes back, and she gets her phone from Mr. and she leaves, having not been able to talk to Jun Young really. Jun Young catches up with her at her apartment, which he got the address from the production staff. I'm glad that they put that in there when she has, how'd you find me? Because you had to put it on your resume, dummy. Anyway, he tells her, you know, your job is safe, but who's that guy you were talking to? And she's like, nobody, don't worry about it, I'll be at work. So the next time they get together at work is at his concert. Well, prior to them meeting at her concert, a couple of different things happen. Number one, Jun Young tries to get his mom to go to his concert, and you have another heartbreaking scene with those two where he's kind of like laughing about all this time she's blowing him off and saying she's not going to come. Meanwhile, she's again stone-faced, aggressive, rude. She even tells him at some point, like, you know, you'll die before I come to one of your concerts, which hits the nail on the head, but in such a terribly rude way. Even if she meant it as like a blow-off type joke thing, as a parent, why would she say some stuff like that to her kid? That was, I'm still pretty angry at the mother character. Anyway, before the concert, you know, that happens. And then also, we're going to go and switch it back to Haru, which is Jun Young's half-sister from the prosecutor and his wife. So, Haru finds out that Noel is the PD on this new documentary for Jun Young, and she's mad because she's a pretty young girl. And they're like, you know, what pretty young girl is going to be around my oppa when he belongs to the fans? Noel's brother overhears it, and he's kind of like, I know that girl, I can get you some key information, give me your phone number. He gets the phone number. Then Haru goes back home to tell her dad about how she is going to go to this concert, and Ji-tae is there playing, I don't know what game they're playing. They're playing a game with marbles. I don't know what the name of the game is, but they're playing a game, and she's just like, you know, Dad, you need to come with me. We're going to go to Jun Young's concert. And Ji-tae loses his shit. He's like, you need to quit going to fucking concerts and worry about these damn books. You're going to be the stupid fan club member who can't even pass a national exam. And she yells back at him, Jun Young is more important than college. laughed out loud, honestly, because if I had said stuff like that in front of my parents, my mom would have looked at me like, are you out of your fucking mind? But her dad didn't do that. He kind of like laughed it off. Then when she leaves, the dad's like, hey, I think I like this June Young character because, son, I always thought that you were half crazy because I've never seen you have emotions, but if this makes you angry, then I'm not going to have to call the shrink. Like, I was floored with that conversation. I really was, because, like, that was a really significant conversation to have, and one that if somebody had that conversation with me, we would be talking all night long. Because I'd be like, what the fuck do you mean you were planning on calling a doctor? Are you saying you thought I was crazy or bipolar? Or are you saying that you thought I had a mental illness? What do you mean? And I'm sorry if I keep using crazy. I'm not using crazy to be derogatory. I'm using crazy because, like, the way the dad made it sound, he made it sound like he thought that something was wrong with his son that you can't talk about because crazy is taboo. And then was just like, oh, well, now that I've seen you get angry, I feel like everything's okay. No, run that back. What do you mean by that? So now that's got me as a viewer on high alert, because I'm thinking, okay, do I need to watch how he levels his emotions? Because remember earlier when him and Susie were talking and he was kind of stone-faced while she was asking him to go out with her, didn't say anything to her. That is not a typical reaction. So it makes me wonder if he's like sitting on the bomb in terms of his own feelings, and if something's going to happen between him and June Young where he's going to snap. Because, like, he seems to be the only person who gets up Jitae's anger. And already we know that Jitae knows that's his half-brother. He knows who killed Noel's sister. He's already got this kind of double life he's leading between being poor Mister in Noel's life and then being Jitae, the son of the prosecutor, in his regular life. And then we see, like, a scene later on of him in a boardroom. He's really stone cold too. So, like, I'm just saying, yeah, that conversation kind of put me on alert when it came to his character. But all this happens before the concert. So Noel's at the concert, Haru's at the concert with their cleaning lady. Dad shows up to the concert to surprise Haru because that's his baby girl. He wants to do anything for her. And Jitae's at the concert stocking things out because, you know, he can't leave well enough alone. So at the concert, Jun Young is performing. His mother never shows up. And at the concert, he pulls... I take that back. He talks to Noelle behind the scenes to find out if she has a boyfriend. She's like, no, I don't have a boyfriend. No, I don't have a husband. Then, after the concert starts back up, because that was during intermission, I guess, he pulls Noelle on stage and proposes to her in front of the entire auditorium. Like, what? Okay, just so you know, in case you don't follow, like, K-pop, K-drama, celebrity news, if that happened in real life at a K-pop concert, the way that this was, like, splashed on the cover of all the newspapers and was trending all over social media, that would absolutely happen in real life. Like, that would be a huge deal. And that being able to find pictures of them when they were going out in high school together, that totally would have happened in real life as well. Like, they would have dug up the dirt. They dug it all up. So again, very meta of the screenwriters to do this. So it becomes a big deal. Noelle's backstage like, what the fuck just happened? Apparently she turns him down. We don't get to see the actual turn down because they ended episode 5 right then and then picked up episode 6 with her having turned him down. But she turns him down. Haru's in the bathroom. Noelle comes into the bathroom and Haru like splashes water in her face, which, I'm sorry, we'd have had to tussle right then and there. A fight breaks out because I don't even know you, stranger. Why are you attacking me? All the fangirls, of course, are like ganging up on her because, you know, that's their oppa and he's not allowed to have a life. And she's, of course, like, no, I didn't like him. It's not like that. Leave me alone. Paparazzi are back there. She sees that she's all over the news. She's needing to escape. Who's there to kind of pull her into an escape? Jitae, because like I said, he follows her everywhere. He's not going to let her go. He's a stalker type dude. So he's getting ready to pull her out of the venue, and here comes Jun Young, kind of intercepts them. And at this point, paparazzi is catching up with them. And Jun Young's like, you know, I'm a celebrity. I'm okay with having people take my picture and knowing who I am, but are you okay with exposing your identity? What does Mr. do? Pulls down that hat, lets go of Susie's hand, protecting his image. So, of course, Jun Young, he grabs Susie's hand and they walk out of the auditorium at the end of the episode. And this is the thing that I was really upset about, because it kind of shows that, like, you don't really need to be with Susie either, or Noel. Okay, Jite, he covered his identity for two different reasons. First reason, he covered his identity to protect his father, of course, because his father's this famous prosecutor, and his son has a certain image, and so if he had his son in these photographs caught being in the middle of this celebrity love triangle thing, that of course would damage all parties involved in terms of, the father's image, the son's image, the family's image. But then the other thing is, he didn't need to have his identity revealed, because if he did, then Noel would know that he's been lying to her about his identity this whole time. So even though he's not been prepared to be her boyfriend and has said as much, like, I don't deserve her or whatever else, he is not ready to be completely out of her life, and being exposed for who he really is would probably push him out of her life, because she'd be thinking, all this time we've known each other has been a lie, So he lets her hand go. Jun Young grabs her, takes her off, and he's thinking he's doing a noble thing here. The problem is, he created a bigger problem than he can solve. Sure, you might have drug her off, and you might have shown her, I'm the better guy here because I'm willing to stay by your side when times get tough. The problem is, these paparazzi and all this stuff here wouldn't even be around me if you hadn't pulled this publicity stunt you just did. Wine and dine a girl first before you propose marriage. So they drive out to the countryside, to the beach. She gets, like, shit-faced drunk, and she is trying to call Mr. She uses Jun Young's phone to call Mr. after Mr. has gone drinking with his dad, and his dad is, like, abnormally sick for somebody who's just been drinking. He goes drinking with his dad. He gets this call from Noel, and Noel's basically sobbing on the phone, like, why won't you be with me? You see that Jun Young wants me, and he's rich, he's got cars, he's got houses. You don't have anything, but I want to be with you, so why don't you want to be with me? Please be with me. And, Jite is hearing her on the phone. He's silently crying to himself because he's all stoic like he's always been. And Jun Young is like, the fuck? I literally went through paparazzi for you. I drove you out to the country to help you chill out. I'm like, I'm showing you all the time that I want to be with you, and you keep blowing me off for that guy. The fuck? So, anyway, she's super drunk. At some point, he throws his phone into the ocean because she thinks that's her phone because she's drunk. She tries to climb into the ocean to get it. He pulls her out of the ocean. She wakes up the next day wearing totally different clothes. Turns out, like the night before, she got super drunk, threw up all over herself. Her clothes were wet anyway because she had tried to crawl into the ocean. He had put her up the night at some, like, little, kind of a bed and bath, but not really a sophisticated bed and bath. Got her to change of clothes, kind of confessed to her over the evening, and then in the morning he was gone. Nobody hears from him. So Noelle goes back home, and she's kind of infamous. Like, she's all over the paper, all over the news. The management from the documentary company, from his entertainment agency, they can't find him anywhere. So already people want to know, where is Jun Young? What are they going to do with Jun Young? How do they manage this whole situation? How are they going to manage her? Like, it's a lot. There's a lot going on the entertainment side. Also, she's in the news, and the fan club people are like, we haven't seen Jun Young. Did she run off and get married to him? Is she a gold digger? Like, it's a lot going on. So we're dealing with all of that mess. And then we have this kind of side scene that they snuck in that really didn't make a lot of sense to me, but it was in there anyway. It shows the restaurant where Jun Young's mother works. She's at the restaurant, and she's got her two little employees, making rude comments on social media about Jun Young. But she's kind of like, stop. I don't want anybody saying anything bad about Jun Young. I don't want anybody saying anything good about Jun Young. I just don't want anybody to talk about him. And she goes outside, and she kind of breaks down a little bit. I don't know if that's her going soft because she feels bad that her son's in the news like this, or if she's just gotten, like, sick to death with her son completely. I don't know what's going on with that scene, but it kind of felt either they're trying to turn her character around and try to make her more sympathetic, since right now we all hate her, or you know, there's something else going on here that's also going to be divulged later on down the line. But when she goes outside to take a breather from all the drama and everything, who's watching Mom but the prosecutor's wife? Because the prosecutor's wife apparently knows about Jun Young, knows about this woman, and she's in on all these plots and schemes, which I want to see where all that comes from later on down the road as well. Then we catch up with the prosecutor. So, you know, he went home drunk with his son that night. The next day, he's at work talking to some Chinese people, and he sees Jun Young's mom walking through the hallways in like a hot to trot dress, makeup on point, hair looking great, like just looking beautiful. And he's kind of like, what the hell is she doing here? So apparently the prosecutor still has some strong feelings for Jun Young's mom, which I think we all assumed that was going to be the case. Turns out the woman that he sees is not Jun Young's mom. She's actually Madame Song. And if you don't remember who Madame Song is, remember when Noelle was going to blackmail the prosecutor to drop out of the assemblyman race by saying she had photos of him leaving a host club and that there was a particular woman that he spent a lot of time with at the host club. That was Madame Song. Apparently, he was drawn to Madame Song because she looked so much like Jun Young's mother, and he has a lot of strong feelings for Jun Young's mother. So, if I had to guess kind of what happened behind the scenes of everything, I think that back when Jun Young's father was a young man, he was involved with Jun Young's mother. He really super liked her, but he was also on track to become a prosecutor. And I think that somebody had an eye on him and knew that he would be a brilliant prosecutor, would turn into a brilliant assemblyman, and one day would be like a really big figure in Korea in terms of politics and all that kind of stuff. And whoever that person is who saw this potential in him, apparently this guy's daughter also saw that potential, or maybe it was the daughter, whoever it was. But I think that Jitae and Haru's mother somehow was involved in the plot that separated Jun Young's father from Jun Young's mother, and ever since then she's been keeping an eye on this situation, because when she was told that Haru went to the Jun Young concert, she like destroyed the flower vase, because I think she knows that's Haru's half-brother, and she doesn't want her daughter lusting after her half-brother because, ew, incest, yuck. But yeah, I want to know more about that situation. I can't wait for that series of flashbacks. That's going to be interesting. Also, we got a sneak peek at kind of Jitae and how he is in his professional life, and he's fucking ruthless. And he's the same way in his professional life as he is in his personal life. He is mostly kind of calm until he gets a really strong temper. And he gets a really strong temper with things that he feels are like completely wrong. And also he knows everything going on behind the scenes without the people he's talking to knowing that he knows that. Because he's in this board meeting and the guy who's presenting the ideas, whatever, he presents this proposal and there's a lot of errors in the proposal, but rather than just attacking the proposal for having a lot of errors, he says, I know that you've been out playing golf and visiting host bars instead of working on this proposal, and instead you have your minions working on it for you, and because you're so bad at lying and doing at least a decent job overseeing things, you left all the bad stuff in the proposal and forgot to take all the bad stuff out, and so this just shows how flawed your work ethic is. I'm going to give it to somebody else. So, I mean, he's one of those guys that kind of has to have his fingers on everybody. He has to know everything. And on the one hand, that's not bad, because if you're a businessman, you kind of need to know what everyone around you is doing. But in a personal life, it's hard to be involved with somebody who's that much of a micromanager, who's that calculating, who's always got like their hand close to their vest and they're not really revealing themselves to you, but instead they're always looking over to see what's going on behind your back. You know, that's not cool. Also, somebody who's sneaky as well, Jung-un. So we hadn't seen much of Jung-un in episode 5 at all. I don't think we saw any of her. We saw just a tiny bit of her in episode 4. Well, episode 6 comes, and you remember the paparazzi were all taking pictures. Apparently, there were some pictures of Jitae taken before he tipped his hat down. Clear pictures of his face. Young somehow got a hold of these pictures. She calls Jitae to ask him if he went to this concert, because she's looking at these pictures right in front of her face. She knows he's been in that concert, knows he's been holding hands with Noelle. She basically knows all the plot points. And he lies to her like, oh no, I didn't go to that concert. I was hanging out with a friend. Can I take you on a date? Because, he thinks that he can game her the same way he's gaming everybody else in his life. She's like, oh yeah, sure, you can take me on a date. But no, this girl is calculating. And I think it was important for them to start developing her in that way, because she's kind of supposed to be the anti-lead to our lead girl. Because that's usually how it is. There's usually like a woman who's the opposite, or the, kind of the villain to our heroine, if you will. And she's going to be the villain, and they're setting her up really well as a villain. She killed Noel's dad. She's going to be mad at Noelle because she wants Jitae, and Jitae only has eyes for Noelle. And also she's a calculating sort who never really reveals all that she knows, but kind of sets people up to fall into her traps. So I totally see that coming for her, and we'll see what happens with everything once it all comes down. But, I mean, right now, I feel like Jitae might as well establish a relationship with Jungin, because they're kind of the same type of person, and that would be a more even match for the two of them. But I just don't see what Jitae can do in the future to repair all the lies and manipulations he's done to Noelle. Noelle and Young, I don't want them to get together right away either right now, because I think Young's taken for granted the fact that, Noelle's got to have her own feelings built up, because he's like, I keep trying to profess that I like you. What can I get you to believe? What can I do to get you to believe that I like you? Because, I'm on a time clock here. I'm about to die soon. Well, yeah, I know that you, Young, want what you want, but you haven't really taken any time to kind of identify what it is that Noelle wants. You don't really know her heart. You haven't really taken the time to get to know her heart. And just because you're rich and you can make her life easier, that doesn't equate to love. So really, you should try to take some time, even though you have a limited amount of time. You should still try to take some time to figure out, is this ever going to work? Like, do we actually have something, or is this something that I've just been imagining on my end all along? So, yeah, I'm interested to see what happens with everything. Definitely I can see why people are calling this Uncontrollably Fond, because you have a lot of characters who can't control how much they like somebody, even though it goes against common sense for them, or it's got them acting kind of out of character to have so many affections for this person. So I'm definitely seeing that, and I enjoyed these episodes. I look forward to seeing episodes 7 and 8. I'm sure that there's a lot of stuff that I missed, and if I did, please leave notes down below. That way I can address them. Oh, the major thing that I didn't like about episodes 5 and 6. There was a lot of violence towards women in these episodes, and I should have said that from the bat. There was a moment where Young kicks Noelle while she's drunk, and then Haru gets thrown in a trash can by Noelle's brother, Nojik. And I'm just like, what the hell? This is not cool. Now, granted, Haru takes her teeth and sinks them right into his arm because he deserved that. He deserved that. But what is with all of this, like, slapping people and hitting people? Like, I don't know. I guess maybe because I'm from the United States and, putting hands on other people is pretty taboo for the most part. But over there, like, people were choking each other out. It was just, there's a lot of violence going on. And I was very surprised at how much kind of hands-onness was going on with people in this show. Oh, and I didn't talk about Nojik, but I'm starting to feel a little bit more sympathy for Nojik, because as ashamed as he's been of his sister and her kind of wheedly ways to make money, at the same time, he has a lot of love for his sister, because when his sister didn't show up after going drinking and all that stuff was happening on social media, he called Haru and was like, I don't care who the fuck you are, you're not going to intimidate my sister. And she's like, tell me your address, because I'm going to tell my dad. He's like, I live at 187 West Klein Street. Like, he told her, because he's like, I'm going to protect my family, especially because, for him, this is the only family he has in the world. So no matter how disappointed he may be in the fact that she's kind of shameless when it comes to making money, he would never trade her for the world because that is his sister and he loves her. And he stays up all night long waiting to hear from her because he couldn't hear from her. So I really did appreciate that they showed that, because I needed to see more of their family bond, because I was kind of disappointed in Nojik for a little while. But he showed that, you know, even though we may have our disagreements, that is my sister. She is my sister, and I love her. And so I thought that was really cool that they showed that. I look forward to seeing more of that kid in the future. But yeah, that's everything that I could think of for the show. I hope you guys appreciated this review. It was all over the place. I think I started out pretty good, but then I kind of devolved into madness towards the end. But yeah, there you go. I will talk to you guys later. Bye!